Hi guys. So if you have a Mini Clubman, like mine here, it's a 2024 Mini Clubman, but from 2014 through 2024, they would all be kind of the same. The cars do not come with mud flaps from the factory, any sort of rock guards or mud flaps or anything like that. And Mini does not make them for the Clubman. They do make a kit for the F55, F56, and F57, which would be the hardtop, the four-door, and the convertible, like my JCW, my 2016. But these can be made to fit the Mini Cooper Clubman pretty well. Now, the reason that you might need these is because you end up with this little bit of poke at the bottom of the wheel arches. So if you've got wheels that have a aggressive or flush fitment, and they're not, sucked in like the factory ones are, any sort of aftermarkets like my Konigs here, you'll have the wheels be flush around here, and then they will stick out down here. And what can happen is you can actually kick up rocks that end up hitting the side of your car further down your car. So I thought, I'll try these out. I'll see if they fit. They're about 70 bucks. And if they didn't fit, I was just gonna put them on my hardtop. But they do, and I'm gonna show you how to make these work. So we're gonna go over to the driver's side, and I'm gonna install this one on camera. So for materials, we need the mud flaps. I'll give you the part number in the description. A T20 Torx, the screws and these metal clips that come with the mud flap kit. Some sort of like an isopropyl alcohol spray. I'm using, this is Gyeon Prep. Car Pro Eraser would work. A bunch of others would work as well. An adhesion promoter pad if you have one. It's not gonna come with it, but it is helpful. And then you'll also need another screw. It doesn't have to be quite this long. This is about 1 inch in length. Something like half an inch is probably a good size. Stainless steel or something that's not going to rust. And I also have here a pry tool. I'll show you what I end up using that for. You could probably fix that problem in a variety of ways. And then you'll also need a heat gun. This is the Milwaukee M18 heat gun. You don't need anything crazy. So the first thing you want to do, let's spray a little bit of prep on this towel, and we're just going to clean off this surface right here that we're going to be adhering to. So we'll get this whole thing wiped off just like that. And this is going to go right in here. So this has a red 3M adhesive. So this has like a sticky thing that you can pull off, and it removes the coating off of the adhesive, and then you can stick this to a car. And this is obviously available, like you can go to an auto parts store, you can buy a roll of this. It's a regularly available thing. So what we're going to do here is, if you look at the fitment, there's actually a gap right here. And what we want to do is we want to reduce that gap. So we're going to heat up this corner with the heat gun, and we're going to fit it to the car so that it stays on. Then we'll pull the adhesive back, we'll stick it into place, and we will attach it with the clips here and the screws here. So first thing I'm going to do is take my heat gun, and I'm going to heat up this corner from here to here, and the inside as well. All right, so we've got this nice and hot. We can see that it's very flexible. We're going to fit this on here, and we're going to make it nice and tight and match that curve. So at that point, we can take off the adhesive coating. And then we are going to stick this to the car. And what you will see is that if you hold it up nice and tight, you won't have a gap here because the heat allows the plastic piece to mold around the slightly different corner of the Clubman. So once you've got it nice and stuck, we're going to take these clips and we're going to install them here. Now, there are teeth on one side and not teeth on the other. So I am installing the teeth outward because that's going to keep the unit from coming off this direction. If you put the teeth inward, then that means the slippery side is on this and that can move out. This is what I'm using this pry tool for, to push these clips in. Just like that, nice and tight. So there's one, there's two, and these clips are basically just attaching this to this plastic that's right here. There's a tab that's there as well. Now for this very topmost one, I found that I had to kind of pull out on this a little bit to get this to slide behind it. And then once I did, and then we can push that one in as well. So now all three of these are pushed in. Last but not least, you will see there are two holes right here, here and here, and there's also one in the bottom. These screws come with these mud flaps. So we're going to put those in right here. They are self-tapping screws, which means that they can kind of drill through the plastic that is in the way. And you're basically securing this to the plastic wheel liner. So it's not going to get tight, it's just going to get kind of stiff. The screws are actually easier to put in if you turn the tire out the way that I have it right now. It just doesn't do well for you to see it on camera. All right. So now you can see the mud flap is installed. There is a last screw that you need to put up through the bottom in that bottom hole that was in the mud flap. Now something to note about this one. On an F56, F55, or F57, there is a screw already here. You remove that screw and you put it through the mud flap and back into the hole that it came out of. On the F54, there's not. So we're taking a short stainless steel screw and we are screwing up into the plastic wheel liner. With that, all right, so there we have it. The mud flap is installed. There are 3 screws, 1, 2, 3. And the adhesive right here. And I can show you a couple different angles of it so that you can see what it looks like. So here it is from the back. And there it is from the front. You could see the screws behind the tire. And there's a third one underneath. So I feel like this is a very trivial thing, but it helps to close the gap on the front tires pretty significantly. And I feel like this is going to help reduce the damage that you would receive to your rocker panel down the side of the vehicle, or potentially up here on the back door, like I have a rock chip right here. And it's very apparent that that comes from the tire. And I will say, I have these Michelin Pilot Sport 4s, they're a little wide. I went with a 235 fitment tire. I do hear little pings and clicks and stuff down the side of the car every single day. Now, I have PPF, paint protection film, on my rockers. So the bottom, you know, this much of my door, all the way from the front to the back, is covered with PPF. So I'm good there. The thing that I'm worried about is the things that get flung up and happen to land somewhere back in this area. And I think that that's going to reduce my risk pretty significantly. I personally find it annoying that a lot of car manufacturers don't include mud flaps from the factory anymore, neither on the front or the rear of the car. I can't tell you how many times I'm driving down the road behind a truck, behind an SUV, and you hear the clicking of the rocks that are, you know, flying off of your windshield, your hood, your this, your that. And you can say, okay, well, maybe you're following too closely, but when you're not following that closely, often people are ducking in front of you constantly, and they're also kicking rocks up and hitting you with them all the time. And this could be a California specific problem, but I think that it's probably unanimous no matter where you live. These are 80 bucks. They provide some protection. The car is valuable. So I felt that they were a worthwhile investment, and I was able to make them fit without looking stupid, even though they're not necessarily made for this car. There are a couple aftermarket options as well that are more like the rubber material that you would custom make a mud flap with. I think that these look a lot better. They're a lot more OEM style, but that's obviously an option too. I think that that's better than nothing. Like I said, there will be a link in the description to the product that I purchased. Obviously, there is a little bit of adjustment required to make them fit the Clubman. They will fit the F55, F56, and F57 right out of the box, according to the manufacturer. I have no reason to expect that they wouldn't. They lined right up on my hardtop, which happens to be sitting right here. But anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.